What does this all mean? Does it mean that we are free to sin because we are ruled by God's undeserved grace and God's law? Certainly not. Don't you know that you are slaves of anyone that you obey? You can be slaves to sin and die, or you can be obedient slaves to God and be accepted by Him. Do you agree with what he just said?
Yes.
What did he say? Break it down in your own words.
He's saying, don't be a slave to sin.
Mhm.
And because you're have a new life in Christ, you shouldn't continue in that.
And listen to what this is even worse right here.
Mhm.
He says, don't you know that you are slaves to anyone you obey? So
Mhm.
remember that. If you obey sin, you are now a slave to sin and no longer a slave to Christ. That's a problem because Christ came to make you a slave to him, not to the sin. Okay? So this is the next verse. This is even worse right here. You can be slaves of sin and die. What does that mean?
Hold on. You can be slaves of sin and die.
What does that mean?
You can. I don't know.
He's
I
saying
don't know.
he's saying if you are a slave to sin, you will die.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
If you're a slave to sin, you'll go to hell.
Yes. Okay. And then he says, or you can be obedient slaves of God and be accepted by him. And this is why I tell you, if a person is continually touching little children and he claims to be a Christ follower, that's not good. Because if he continues in that life, Paul says he will die. But if he does what is right and sustains from touching little children or beating people's wives or murdering or doing these things, he will be accepted by God, according to Paul. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I have a question.